It's a hootenanny in here. This is COFOH Live Undead. I am your host, Daniel Crosier, and I am joined by the amazing Bradley Haag. Wow!
You write something on my face.
Brad, how are you?
Hey, how's it going, Daniel?
Good.
That's a sweet intro. I was highly entertained by that.
Thank you. I aim to please.
How's it going?
Good. Hey, before we went on, I didn't check to clarify how to pronounce your last name. Did I get it close?
Oh, it's Haag, but
Haag.
people call me Radley if you want.
Okay. All right. Sorry about that.
It's a tough one. I've lived with it for 40 years, so
yeah,
I get it.
Yeah. You mentioned off air you just turned 40 in the last year, and I'm surprised. I thought you were much younger than that. You seem so much more, younger and full of energy. I see you on social media constantly turning out film and projects and just champion, local filmmakers. But, before we really go into that, tell everybody who's not familiar with your work, who you are, where you come from, and how you got into filmmaking.
I just, out of high school, I went to the Colorado Institute of Art, and now defunct. And
Right.
I went for like digital media production. I grew up doing art in high school and elementary school, and like I thought that was the career I wanted to pursue. And then during college, when I was doing my digital media thing, they I got access to film, video production stuff. They did more TV production there than film. Right. So I got a taste of that, and I was like, oh, I enjoy this. And a bunch of my friends from theater in high school got together, and we, in our free time, we just made short videos for ourselves. And then it just grew and grew. Started doing more professional stuff, and now my days are just trying to make the most of every day by doing anything creative. So yeah. Any free time I have and any commercial professional time I have, just dedicating it to making art. And yeah.
Nice. You and I met, I think, a few years ago with, probably more than a few years ago, through Michael Scott, a mutual friend. He used to be a local animator. I think he moved on to New York. And that's when I realized, you and some of your cohorts were doing was it open screen night? Is that right?
That's right. Yeah. Open screen night. Around 2011, a couple people started at the Oriental Theater, and then around 2015, they moved on, and a bunch of us fans of the event who had been going there regularly took up the reins, and then we moved over to the Bug Theater, and then that's when I we moved over to the C Film Center for like a couple sessions, and then we moved over to the Bug Theater, and it was the Alamo Draft House really briefly. Mm-hmm. But yeah, like after the Oriental Theater, that's when I kind of worked on it, and it may come back in the future. We never know, but yeah. So that was a fun time of just encouraging people to make their own films and bring them in. And it's not a preparation for open screen nights. It was just a walk-in thing where you bring a flash drive or a Blu-ray or DVD, and we just show whatever shows up. And then you had the chance to win prizes, and it was a great time. And it just at the time it was getting so elaborate that it kind of was a drain on all of us to, we were too busy to put it together. So we kind of shut it down for a little bit, but who knows, it might come back in the future.
It wasn't because of the pandemic or anything like that. Was it closing down before that?
Yeah, actually, funny enough, I think a full year before the pandemic happened, it was just It's funny, like we shut it down before, it probably would have got shut down anyway. So
Right.
it's like
Right.
it was good timing. But now that everyone's coming back and things are slowly restarting, it might be time to bring some more art back into the world and make that available to people again.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I really appreciate it because there's a platform for me to share, my shorts with, and you guys were always really inviting and very, supportive of that. So I greatly appreciate that. And it was a great way to see what all, the amazing local talent was doing and
yeah.
to the network.
That's the other thing too at the time was there was less stuff being made and available. So
Right.
there's less projects showing up at Open Screen Night. So hopefully people have had plenty of time to get creative and rebuild and start some new things. And so hopefully if it does come back, we'll have a wealth of content for people to see from the local area, which would be great because I've seen enough of my own stuff. I want to see other people's stuff.
Right. Yeah, most definitely. And you also do the podcast Real Nerds as well, right?
Yeah. Which is actually where I thought I met you from because we've been to Comic-Cons and things, and I think we've had you on the show, right?
You've had me on the show. I think you've interviewed me like probably 2 or 3 times, and then you invited Elisa and I, over I think just a few years ago, probably like a year before the pandemic, or the previous summer anyway. Prior to that, and,
yeah, that's right. Yeah, you were in the Zach's basement. That's right.
Yeah, and I can't remember what the topic was for the life of me.
What movie we watched that week? Yeah,
I can't remember what it was, but I just remember, we had a good time, and we were just I think just making everybody laugh, making each other laugh and stuff, and so that was always fun.
Just laugh and talk about movies. Yeah, we've been doing it for 12 years now.
Oh my God.
11 years? 11 years.
How?
So yeah, it's hard to remember the wealth of content we've created. And,
right.
We're actually trying to make a conscious effort to go back because we do have like all these interviews from the past decade that probably should be recycled and, platformed again. So if anyone wants to hear your interview, they can go to realnerspodcast.com and search for your name and it'll probably come up. So it's still there. It didn't fade into the ether. People can still hear you and Elise talk about your own art and the movie, whatever movie that was that you watched that week.
Yeah, I've no clue.
Yeah.
And I think like you and I are cinephiles too, and so is Elise. So we're constantly consuming new media and storytelling. So who's to say what it was then? But that's really cool because you guys have created an encyclopedia of all these commentaries and narratives and just really just kind of fun little joygasms over film and television.
Yeah, like we're mostly a movie podcast and we go see a new movie each week, but when we go to Denver Comic-Con, Denver Pop Culture Con, Denver Fan Expo, we've invited just anyone of any kind of profession or fandom to come and just be a presence and record their story and their fandom on our podcast. So nice. It's another way to platform people, smaller voices, lesser known voices. We're not huge there's not a huge listenership for us, but it's just, it's people's lives recorded and their interests recorded and it's stored somewhere and they can live on, immortality in some small way, I guess. But it's just cool to hear everyone's different things and like meeting people and learning the different avenues of life that you don't know about otherwise, and getting that exposed. And so, that's the side benefit of going to see a new movie each week and then going to a Comic-Con and like meeting people. So, cool stuff.
Wow, that's cool. The with all that you've done to champion media in films and showcase local filmmakers, you yourself are I would say an accomplished filmmaker in your own right, and constantly putting out all kinds of stuff, working with your friends. You recently did this film Stalker, which I want to talk to you about, on this show. And I was really excited to, you posted a teaser trailer, and we've got that on here as well. We'll play that in just a little while here. But yeah, I was so happy to see it. It's like, oh, fantastic. Something of the horror genre that I can talk to Bradley with, and invite him on the show and have a good time. And then you sent over the link to watch it, a private link and stuff. And I was like, holy crap, this is a really good film. And then to find out it was also, the 48-hour film challenge. I'm like, holy shit, man, this looks like something that probably took weeks and weeks and weeks to plan out and shoot and execute. And crap, you guys did it in 48 hours.
Technically 77, because this particular one is part of the 4 Points project. So it's like having an extra day, and it is so nice. Let me tell you, after years of doing the 48, like having a whole extra day to polish everything is fantastic. But yeah, this particular one, we also only had like a team of 4 people. So that was part of the extra challenge of that. And then, they also added, like, they wanted you to incorporate a landmark into your piece. So I think once you explain further, I guess we'll go into that part of it. But yeah, so.
Man, tell us a little bit about, what Stalker is and how that, I mean, granted in the 77-hour, approach, how did that come about?
So on like almost last year at this point, because actually next weekend is the next one. Friday night, you just wait around for the people who run it to send your time zone, because this one's a worldwide competition, whereas the 48 that we do is a Denver one. So the 4 Points one is worldwide, and then your time zone, you get the people who run it send you a genre. Like, here's your team name, the genre you got. It's actually 2. You get to pick one or the other, or you can do both if you want. And then a character, a prop, and a line of dialogue you have to use in your piece. And then this year or that year, they also added, they wanted you to use a landmark of your city that you're representing. So Friday night got that criteria, and then we Zoom called with the other 3 members of the team, kind of kicked around some ideas. We got the genre supernatural. So I was like, cool. We've done horror before for the Denver 48. We did like a sci-fi mutant cat thing. And so this year, with the landmark and everything, we kicked around some ideas of what we could do. And then we kind of figured Colfax, we don't have permits, on the short notice, but, we can go to public spaces like Colfax. And Colfax is kind of a landmark of Denver in the fact that it's the longest commercial street in America. So, and I've actually, so Friday night, we're kind of kicking around. It's really hard for us to write really quickly anymore for some reason. We've been doing the 48-hour film projects for almost 13, 14 years now.
Wow.
And you think it would get easier, and it's, in some ways it does, but writing has actually gotten harder and harder. So we were a little stumped, but we were like, okay, Colfax is probably the landmark that we can have access to. It's 7 p.m. Friday when you get the criteria. So from then on, it's just getting later and later, and things are closed. So, everyone else kind of wanted to, go to sleep, and knowing that we have Monday as a day we can work on, there's no real urgency to write. So I was like, cool, I'm going to go drive Colfax end to end and get some inspiration. Nice. So I went down there, I drove all the way out to I-70 and then all the way back to, Denver West, that whole stretch. And it's like, okay, there's like this, we have to do supernatural. So maybe there's like this entity, like there's this, the ghosts of Colfax are inhabiting the people that walk it. So from there, I still know what to write, but time's ticking. So we got the actress Jamie Haber to get on board. Like, hey, let's just go to Colfax and let's just start shooting stuff. Like, find some cool spots with like good lighting, and just shoot B-roll of everything, and just have you pretend like here's kind of where your character's going through. The character was a Penny Foster, the motel clerk, and that was the biggest wrinkle, is they assigned the profession of the character being a motel clerk, but on short notice, where are we going to get access to film at a motel, let alone inside, to represent the clerking part of it? Right. But yeah, we took note of all the different motels. And so, yeah, we got Jamie like a fake badge and started like just kind of have her walk by the motels, just like staying in the public space that we were allowed. And yeah, so we just kind of filmed a bunch of different stuff. Like, okay, you know, what if, you know, she's doing this and this, and then we kind of started to build of like, okay, you know, if she's possessed, like, and maybe she's the one who's going around stalking people or haunting them, or maybe there's an essence that's inhabited her that's making her do it. So that was really, yeah, just kind of the motivation for that was just, you know, just go shoot stuff. And then the next day I took it all and just kind of assembled a narrative built out of that, and then wrote the dialogue that she says after that to time. And that's about it. Yeah. So that's a really long answer to your first question.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. I mean, you know, what an interesting way to approach, you know, process, especially when, you know, you're under the gun. You got a deadline. You got to deliver.
Yeah, and we're used to doing comedy, so I can't remember what the motivation was for that, but like, there's something about it said like, hey, you know, we're a smaller group this year. Let's just do things different. And so I was like, okay, let's just try our hands at not making fun of any of this. Let's just take it seriously and like treat this supernatural genre as horrific. And I've always wanted to do horror, but just haven't really had like, you know, there's so many horror films out there, a lot of indie ones. How do you make it different? So yeah, that was like, you know, we're just playing with the tools we have on this short notice. And so, yeah, we decided like, hey, let's just like maybe try to do a straight up horror thing this time and see how it goes. And people seem to enjoy it.
Nice. Yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. Now, can people watch the finished short online yet?
Yeah, it just on Halloween day or night I made it public. So I meant to send it to you, but it was like a huge file, so I wasn't sure if you were gonna be able to download it in time. But you can actually just stream it if you want to. If you want to show them here, it's only like 5 or 6 minutes, but or you can just show the trailer.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to stream it here, but I can show the trailer here. Looks like Ryan just chimed in, and he said that, you know, it's so interesting. Yeah, I think he's referring to your creative process on that. Let's go ahead and let me cue up that teaser trailer. Because that was the thing that grabbed my attention when I saw it on Facebook. I was like, oh my gosh, this looks absolutely fantastic. So let me take off this banner here, and then we'll go back to this guy, and we'll cue this up.
Of them. You're nobody. You can't hide. This street takes them all.
Oh my god, that
is spooky.
Yeah, well, it's incredibly, you know, striking. Just I'm like, oh my gosh, you know, did Bradley do? When I first saw it, I was like, did Bradley do a feature film and I didn't know about this? This looks amazing.
Sometimes I wish it was, but yeah, it's only 5 or 6 minutes.
Yeah, well, you know, that over the head, you know, shot of Colfax, I was like, oh wow. And then, you know, learning that again, the 77 hour film project, you know, doing a I can imagine it's a drone shot, you know, during the night. I'm like, oh,
yeah, it was one of the, I think it was the very last thing we shot, because we actually went back a second, I think on Sunday for a couple hours to get some stuff that we, you know, in the edit we're like, oh, it would be great if we had this too. Yeah. And then yeah, I've been putting off the drone shot just because the drone is so finicky, and at night it's hard to see everything, especially at that height. But yeah, it was so cold. And then the last thing, I think at like 2 a.m., we wrapped shooting Jamie's second part and then sent everyone home. And then I'm by myself. And actually the producer, Ryan Packman, I was like, hey, can you just hang around and make sure like no one sneaks up behind me while I'm focused on this, make sure that it doesn't fall into Colfax while someone's driving.
Yeah.
Out the sky. But yeah, that was a challenging end part to the whole affair of just like, in the dark, trying to see this thing fly. You're not supposed to fly it in the dark. But I was like, it's only gonna be like 5 or 10 minutes. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been at like Target. And I've seen other drones like flying over me at night too. So I'm like, other people are doing it. It's fine.
Yeah.
I should be able to do this. So
yeah. But not everybody's probably doing it for making films, but so
right.
Other, I'm sure not nefarious things,
Yeah.
Nothing voyeuristic like.
No, not at all. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's once folks, see it, I think they're going to, agree that it's incredibly striking. It's really well, produced. I definitely want to, see, more horror movies from you and your team, it gets me, psyched on the possibilities, but the fact that you guys put it together in such an amount of time, I mean, it's pretty, daunting. When you first started out doing like a 48-hour, film festival, or 48-hour film project, can you recall like, was it like just something to really, difficult to approach, that idea or concept? Was there a lot of like, hesitation or anything like that to really dive in? Because for me, that just sounds terrifying all the way around.
No, we were so excited. Our first year was 2010, and we had, me and my friends from high school were like, we saw some other friends from college doing it. Like, oh yeah, we should do this too. It's like an excuse for us to make something. Like everyone's dedicated to that weekend, so and you're gonna have a product by the end. So let's do it. Then we partnered with some people from Boulder. So we had this big team. We shot this film in Boulder, and the end result was not great.
Yeah,
it was pretty rough. And then the next year we came back with some of those people and did another one that also was kind of rough. And so after that, we expected to partner with them again, and then they didn't. So we tried for a third year to do it, and then we're like, we kind of got ghosted, and we're like, okay, well, let's just make anything and call it a day. Like, this obviously isn't working. We're not good at this. And then we made this stupid movie called Don't Be a Pussy about this cat who's trying to win a race, and then he fails and then comes back triumphant. It's like a stop motion cat doll that's running against real humans. It's so silly and ridiculous, but we actually got into the best of with that film in our third year. It's like, okay, well, maybe we just found the right pieces and now we should just keep doing it. And so, yeah, we found more and more good pieces and we got more successful year after year. But yeah, the first year before we went into it, we got a list of the genres that they were going to offer us. And we tried to plan a story for each of them. And there's like 20 of them. But the only one we didn't plan for, because we were like, okay, we've gone to these meetings and done all this work. What's the odds we're really going to get foreign film? And sure enough, we got assigned foreign film for that one. So, and then as the years went on, we actually realized that planning ahead was part of the problem. Like, you just need to embrace what you get and just work with what you're given rather than trying to plan, every little detail ahead of time.
Right.
So like, you can find your locations, you can find your actors and your crew, like have that ready. But as far as like trying to plan a story at a time and anticipate that, it's extra work you don't need to do. So yeah, the years past that where we've actually done less prep work have been more successful for the 48. So.
Wow. That's pretty impressive. So it literally took you guys, a few years to kind of learn, those lessons and really fine tune your craft.
Yeah. And then in the even later years, you start to realize like how to like manage specifically the time of the weekend. Mm-hmm. the first couple of years, you're just like, it's just 48 hours and you just fit all the parts into that. But later on, we realize like, okay, let's try to write up until midnight on Friday. And if we're going past that, then there's a problem. So, usually midnight's the deadline. And then if we're shooting film past 7 p.m. on Saturday, then things aren't working. So, we should be able to shoot 4 minutes worth of film before 7 p.m. Saturday, and then have all the rest of that time to edit and polish before 7 p.m. on Sunday for the 48. So that kind of time management gets more recognizable the more you do it. So that's how things got easier, now, because when I can look at the 77 and go like, I know I can do all this in just 48 hours. So that the rest of that whole other day is such like, it's just gravy. Like, it's so much easier. And I think on Stalker, there was a point where I was like, I have all this extra time. Like, what else could I add to it to make it better? So, again, it was a year ago, so I don't remember exactly, but I think the cut that's online is actually a little more polished because I think some of the text effects and there's actually a CGI shot in the new cut that wasn't there in the one we turned in. So there's stuff like that where post 77, I was like, oh yeah, I can polish this and sweeten it up. And now the contest is over. It's going to live online, so why not put the best version of it online? So
that's so cool. When we get off of here, I'll make sure to post in the comments the link to the actual film because I think people need to see this, and I appreciate your talent. It sounds like too, going through this process, you guys kind of scaled down to like an essential 4 people, doing the production. Is that correct?
Well, we try to have more people, but November of 2021, that was just who was available for that weekend.
Right.
So we cut things like, going into it, we're like, we don't have a sound person to be on set. Like I could probably do it, or the producer or our grip could probably do it, but let's just make it easier for ourselves and just write a story that doesn't need that. We can ADR later like we did with Jimmy's dialogue. We didn't have extra actors, but in the back of my mind for 48 hours, I wanted to take one actor and have them play multiple parts. Mm-hmm. So that's why part of the story was like, oh yeah, Jamie runs into all these other people that look like her in the film. So that's us exercising that, that wish of like, oh, it'd be cool to have one actor play multiple parts. So we did that in this one, because we didn't have anyone else. And then, there's just, we only had the 4 people for that weekend. We usually have a larger group for the Denver one, but people's schedules weren't available. So you just work with what you have for the 48. And, when we do it a week from now, I don't know what we'll have. We'll see by Friday and then go from there.
Nice. So, getting ready for something like that, do you get to, do you watch your diet and train harder, or, get more rest? How do you approach that? What's the mindset?
I do my best to get as much sleep as possible ahead of it. But I think by Friday morning, there's just such excitement to do it. You can't sleep. So, but the past couple of years with work, there was a lot of conflicts, so I didn't get sleep. But this year, I think just sleep. Diet wise, it's in our larger teams, we usually have someone designated to catering. So so I can focus on just being creative, because when I'm creative, I'm not thinking about eating.
Right.
I'm not thinking about. I'm doing my best to not sleep and stand. And when I stay on my feet, like that keeps me from sleeping. If I sit in a chair, it's over. Like I'll pass out.
Right.
So watching for stuff like that. But have someone else just kind of like pop in and say like, hey, you need to eat now. And here's this sandwich. I'm like, okay, great. And then back to work. So I don't lose time, but also like you have to stay hydrated and feed yourself.
Right.
But have someone else kind of looking out for that is essential.
That's amazing. What an amazing, process that you guys, put together. Well, and I'd imagine too, like, with those limitations really breed innovation.
Yeah. Like if you just focus on the fact that something has to be due on that deadline, good or bad. Yeah, that's just what you focus on, and it carries you through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in the past too, you said you've done other horror shorts. Can you tell us a little bit about those?
Yeah. So the next best one was Catastrophe. We did that in 2015, and the genre was specifically horror. And we decided, like, okay, everyone else is going to do probably some slashery thing. Like, we've been to other 48s. That's what people usually gravitate to. So why don't we do, like, a bunch of us are fans of old, 50s, 60s sci-fi movies. So like, okay, what's like a horror version of that? And so we did this thing where there's some event that causes the cats in the city to mutate into like enormous cats. And they murder everybody. And so there's these two kids that are locked in their house and they don't want to go outside. They're waiting for the parents to come home. And so they're just reacting to all the horrors that are happening outside and with these mutant cats. And so, yeah, it's like a 50s, 60s sci-fi horror homage, like giant. Like we took the teammates had cats and we just, put them on a green screen, made them enormous, and then put them behind like the windows that we like green screened out. And so it's just these two kids just trying to survive a night and not become the twist is at the end, all the people who've been murdered turn into cat zombies by the end. So when they finally get outside, they realize all the people they saw get killed, well, risen from the dead and become cat zombies. And so that was fun. And then a long time before that, a friend of mine, we're big Friday the 13th fans. So we tried to make a Friday the 13th sequel called Friday the 13th Reborn. And we got as far as shooting like 2 scenes of it. And like my friend wrote out a whole feature film script. But this is like 2005, 2006. We're really green. And, no one's getting paid. This is it's just our friends. And we got like 2 or 3 scenes shot and then it just faded away.
Oh, no.
So, yeah. But I made a trailer out of the footage we did make, and it's fine.
Cool. Yeah. Is that available online?
No, because it had like a bunch of copyrighted music in it and everything. And,
okay.
The past couple of years, they've really cracked down on it. So I was like, this doesn't need to be up. It used to be, but I was like, let's pull it. It's not that great.
But we can go and find the mutant cats one.
Catastrophes on the website. That's scrolling down there for sure.
Nice. Yeah. So for everybody that's paying attention after this broadcast, make sure to go to nebulousvisions.com and check out more of Brad's work. It's pretty fun to, watching somebody like yourself who's championed, I think, so many filmmakers with Open Screen Night, and also even on your Real Nerds podcast, and you yourself are a contributing artist in your own right, producing your own films. What can we expect to see from you in the coming future? Obviously, you're going into the next 48-hour film competition here pretty soon.
So next week, and gosh, it's wild to say. Like again, not preparing to be prepared.
Right.
So we're gonna do that. We don't know what genre we're getting, but we'll do that, and then I was a DP on my friend Eileen Augusta's feature film, which she started almost 10 years ago now too. And there's been a lot of personal setbacks, but she swears it's going to get done. And that's kind of like a psychological thriller.
Okay.
So that might be a good interview for you to do with her once she finally gets it done. But that's a feature length one about a woman dealing with some like psychological trauma.
Okay. Yeah.
So hopefully that'll come out next year or the week or the year after. And then, probably just waiting until next July or August for the next 48. 48-hour films are really the only time I get to actually make films anymore. So, we used to have a web series for the podcast. And we always had like plot ideas for season 2 that never got done. So but we were recording our film Explosion last night, and the other co-host was kind of like, it's been 10 years since that web series. Like, maybe we need to do something else with that, because I always thought, we have a YouTube page, but it's
Right.
not interesting just to have audio episodes on YouTube page. So hopefully we can do some video stuff with that, but we'll see. I got some ideas for it, but we're both horror fans, so hopefully one of those is something cool. And we just actually we wrapped up on the podcast. We challenged, like, for October, we challenged each other to watch as many horror films as we can for 31 days.
Yeah.
So we've been like battling back and forth, who can watch the most. And so on Peacock, they had a bunch of old like 70s and 80s stuff that I parsed through. And so yeah, we all of us just got exposed to a bunch of horror. I think I did 59 was the final count for me for 31 days. Yeah. And I think Ryan did 50. So
nice. With that, doing just a deep dive on horror films, is there anything that you came across that was kind of surprising, unexpected, kind of a hidden gem?
Not a lot of hidden gems. Like on Letterboxd, I rated most of them 2 stars. But that's the thing, is like the 70s, 80s horror films, like in my head, like look and feel the best. Like they have the best vibe for horror. Like I think the modern ones are often too slick and too clean.
Sure.
Even though maybe the makeup effects are better, like a lot of the 70s, 80s stuff is rubber monsters. Because the resolution wasn't as high, so on the TVs you're watching, so nothing, the details didn't have to be as perfect, but there's more of a do-it-yourself vibe to them too. The older ones. So even though I was like watching these ones that were like so schlocky and had repetitive, like similar things going on, there's still like I enjoyed them more still, like just because they gave me the Halloween horror vibe better. And there were a lot of ones that was like, oh, that's a trauma film, like because that opening, like Lloyd Kaufman and Michael Hers would come up, they're like, I just clicked a thumbnail on a streaming and it's not the Trauma app. And it's just like, oh, this is a trauma film. That's cool. But one of the most recent ones, like, it's called Bloodhook, and I was like, I didn't expect to take the title so literally. It's literally like a fishing lure that kills people. I was like, wow, okay, that's
awesome. What is it? Just like a possessed hook that goes around, or was somebody using it as a tool?
I don't remember. I don't think anyone was attached to it. There was just like these campers, and when they got too close to the lake or something, this fishing lure would come out and like cut their throat or something. And I don't remember if it was attached to anything. And there's another one called Blades, which is a lawnmower that murders golfers on a golf course. And it's basically like Jaws. They assemble a team to go fight the thing that's killing everybody in the town. And there's even like a town, the golf course mayor who's trying to deflect it, like all the traffic. Like, it's not a big deal. Like, we'll take care of it. And then there's like this grizzled old guy who knows how to stop the lawnmower because he's the groundskeeper. So that was fun, but I was like, this is literally just took Jaws and replaced the shark with a lawnmower. So that was kind of cool.
That's hilarious. That kind of reminds me. You ever see that movie Rubber?
Yes, I own that movie.
Oh, nice. Yeah, the tire that goes around killing people.
Yeah, fantastic.
I love it.
So creative, so clever. Like, it like also has like a commentary on itself. It's great. Yep.
Yeah. That movie's so gonzo and bonkers. It's so much fun to just kind of sit there and think on how abstract that concept is. But then when you bring up like lawnmowers, anthropomorphized, inanimate, pseudo inanimate objects, right? Kind of coming alive and filling that Jaws role. I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I remember like some commentary. I think it was Patton Oswalt that did some stand up in regards to
The
Deathbed.
Deathbed. Yeah, I've seen Deathbed.
Oh, have you? Okay.
Early Netflix, it was on there. It was crazy.
No kidding.
Like 2007 or something. Yeah, we did I used to have an old podcast called Nedcast, and me and my friend Adam actually did a commentary for that movie. Because we heard the Patton Oswalt bit, and then we're like, it's on Netflix, let's watch it and do a commentary for it. And yeah, it's not as fun as Patton Oswalt makes it, but it's another inanimate object that's made into a horror movie. It's just wild and creative.
Oh man, would you ever consider doing a film project around an inanimate object and kind of anthropomorphizing it?
Oh yeah, I'll do anything. Like imbuing human qualities into animals or machines. Like I said, we took a puppet cat and pretended it was a actual like marathon runner. So part of the thrill of the 48 projects is like, just I had a thought and it just completely rolled away. I had a point, and it just disappeared as I was talking about it.
Oh no! Yeah, unfortunately, that happens a lot for me. And just as a forewarning, it doesn't get easier with age.
Awesome! I look forward to that. So yeah, let's move on.
yeah. So with that too, like with young filmmakers, would you recommend just starting out, they go in and kind of cut their teeth on the 48-hour film project?
I think it's a great way to cut your teeth and get some experience in. Form your own team, like figure out how the dynamic works. Trial by fire. Definitely like don't get discouraged if it's not going to turn out great. Just turn something in. No matter what, you're going to get screened. Maybe you're not going to go to the awards part of it, but you're going to get the experience of being on set and having a product at the end of it. Like so many films just fail to finish. Like regardless of the 48, just on Kickstarter or something, stuff starts and doesn't get finished, and I think that's the biggest loss. Is even if you're 75% done with it, shelving it is worse. Like I'd rather just make something out of that final 75% and try to make it work. It's not a free project. Like you have to spend at least $148 to register for it, but you're not allowed to rent. You're allowed to pay for high-end talent or spaces. Like it's kind of democratized, where for the most part, like some studios in Denver participate as well, and so they have better access to things than others. But if you're someone who just has like a DSLR or your just cell phone, like the barrier to entry is still low enough, but also still equal enough that you can compete. So like, a lot of the 48 is like, regardless of the production quality, as long as the idea is good.
Yeah.
Like, and they can see that you're had a great idea that maybe wasn't shot well, or, across the board, the audio for most of them is terrible. Because audio is like the least paid attention to part of films for most people, but especially in horror, it's the most like essential.
Yeah.
Even if you don't have all the pieces together, like a good concept can propel you, to success in the 48. So.
Yeah, I mean, going back to like audio, I think in any project, audio will make and break. Break you. I think that was the nice thing about Stalker, was you had that foresight and you're like, oh, screw it. Let's do the ADR and do, voiceover, having that ethereal conveyance, of what this person's going through and what she's experiencing. And also, kind of what with the supernatural aspect, what she might be, projecting too. It's seeing that actress as multiple characters kind of interacting, you know, with herself, in that capacity. And it's like, oh, hey, there's something creepy going on here.
Yeah. Shooting on Colfax, we just knew like on location sound was gonna be a lost cause. Like trying to clean that up later, it's just a waste of time and extra effort. And it's just spookier to have like this omniscient voice following her along, and we can control that much easier just in the garage here with the soundboard. So just make when you're doing the 48, just make things easier for yourself, and try hard to push the envelope, but in your boundaries, but also like don't do it so that you miss the deadline.
Right.
So,
right.
The deadline is the most important part of that contest. So
know your limitations and know how to work with them.
Yep, exactly.
Nice. Oh, that's awesome. Brad, where can people follow you and follow the Real Nerds podcast?
So once again, obviously my personal website, which has all the films that we've done.
Sweet.
Except for the Denver 48 that we did a couple months ago, that has yet to come out yet. But that website also has all the films, and then it has all the graphic design work that I do.
Cool.
And then it has links to Jean-Claude Van Damme's Van, which is the closest I've gotten to a feature film at this point. But it's a ton of fun. And then Real Nerds Podcast is at realnerdspodcast.com. On Twitter, it's at Real Nerds. On Instagram, it's at Real Nerds. So you can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. They changed all the names recently, so I have to try hard to remember. Right. Like it was like Google Play at one point. Stitcher is the way I collect all the stuff I listen to and our own stuff. And yeah, I think that's it.
Cool. That's awesome. I want to say, thanks for coming on, talking about your creative process and your creative work. I think you're a real inspiration, especially to local filmmakers, just trying to get in and figure out their creative, path with film work.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on. Don't wait for anyone to give you permission to do your art. Just go make it happen. That's what I learned. I spent like a decade waiting for permission to do things, and I finally just actually from Kevin Smith, a lot of his podcasts were just encouraging you to just pick up the camera and go.
Right.
So like my daily photo video project, that's just me keeping my photography skills in tune, because my video professor in college said you should be going out every weekend and shooting something, and that was my solution to it. Was I'll do this daily photo project, and maybe 200 of the photos aren't great, but maybe I'll get 1 or 2 out of it as I do it, and just it helped. So just go do your art. Don't wait.
Oh, that's fantastic, man. Yeah, it's really great to have you on, and of course, everybody out there, after this broadcast, go to nebulousvisions.com and check out Brad's work and see all the cool stuff that he's the body of work that he's produced over all these years. It's absolutely astounding. So and Brad, stick around for a few minutes while we sign off. But I wanted to say, of course, thanks to all our sponsors for supporting us and putting up with my shenanigans, and of course our friends over at Mutiny Information Cafe. If you're going to start a revolution, make sure you're caffeinated. And our friends at Hellfire Entertainment, thanks for rebroadcasting us on your social media. Groovy TV, and of course our friends with Alien Donut Films, to Bill and Angela over there, and my producers Stephen Santa Cruz and Amanda Armstrong. Thanks so much, guys, for all your support. And to everybody out there, hey, Halloween, as far as the calendar day has ended, but we all know that Halloween is every day. So make sure to keep it spooky and look out for each other, help each other out. And hey, we'll see you next week. Have a good one, everybody. We love you. Take care, and we'll see you next time.